Here we are, it's Saturday, and you'll notice that there is something slightly different about the car. She's now in the garage. Now, this is because, earlier this morning I was minding my own business, cleaning out the minivan, the Honda, and my neighbor came up and said that the new person who's in charge of the HOA is, has some New Year's resolutions. Now, of course, because it's an HOA, they do what they do best, and that's not communicate with anyone. So instead of the guy just coming over to the house and talking to me about it, he was just going to go straight to the homeowner. If he had come and talked to me about a week ago, or whenever he spotted it, I would have been happy to have moved it then for him. But, you know how HOAs are. So, but the car is now in the garage. She's safe. I don't have to worry about weather sealing anymore. I don't have to worry about anything getting wet from the rain. That's the good part. If it's super cold, which it doesn't ever get super, super cold here, it'll be protected from that. It'll be protected from the extreme heat in the summer. It'll be good. The reason I pulled it in is for a very specific reason. I was going to back it in. Now, it's still not running at this point, so I actually had to push it. So what I did is I took my Rhino ramps, and I pushed the car a little bit at a time, and then put the wheels under, or the ramps under the back wheels. So when it went to roll back, it would be trying to go uphill on the ramp. That's that's a little tip for me to you. You get that for free. But the reason I pulled it in like this is because my tools and stuff are on the left side. And I need access to the driver's side, obviously, because that's where the steering wheel is and everything. If I back it in, the exhaust is going to be towards the house. So part of the reason that I put it in the way that I did was so that if I have to start it and I open up the roll door, the exhaust fumes are going out and into the air, not stinking up the garage here as well. Alright, so the first job I did in the garage was to adjust the clutch cable. As you can see here, this is about correctly adjusted now. So when you lift up on it, you gotta pull up gently. So in between the white plastic flange here and the so in between this white plastic flange and the transaxle top here, that should be about a 12 mil distance, which luckily the box end of a 19 mil wrench is exactly 12 mil thick. So that's what I used as my reference, since I don't have the fancy little Volkswagen gauge. So that's where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to have about that much action to it. And then, of course, the clutch cable was probably about, I don't know, maybe half an inch up the rod here. So, totally was not in the right place, as are and were many things on this car. Just poorly adjusted, poorly maintained, poorly looked after. But now the clutch cable is adjusted correctly, so should be all set to go with that. All right, here I am in the garage. Today, I'm not sure what I was going to do today, but I was just checking out the spare tire thing here, since I have the carpet up for the fuel pump, because that's what I'm waiting on. I noticed that it was a little dirty under here, so I was cleaning it, and then I realized that there's some serious rust under here. But look at how it's magically transformed. I don't know if you can see it, but like this metal part right here, all these silver bits were absolutely caked on with rust. As you can see, those parts still have a little bit of rust, but I'm going to let the residual rust dissolver sit on there. But I'm really quite amazed with how well that this stuff actually works. Like, no joke, this was, a couple millimeters of rust on here, and now it's back down to bare metal. It's Rust-Oleum gel rust dissolver, and it comes in a spray bottle here. Now, it says 30 minutes, and 30 minutes is what I did for the first layer of rust, but then I let it sit on there for an hour for the second coat of rust. And then also what I did is there was a piece of like this kind of carpet, but it was really more like insulation almost. That was like from here to here, is covering like a half moon shaped piece, a semicircle shaped piece. And I'm assuming that that's where all this rust is coming from, because the carpet was wet and you know, I didn't put any water back here, so it's been wet for a while, and it was just sitting right, and like this is the edge of where it was. So as you can see, that carpet was holding all that moisture in and pushing it up against the metal here and rusting it out. So I completely stripped that carpet out. I did vacuum it up because it was tacked on pretty freaking good. And then there was lots of residue, so I went out and I got a 36 grit sanding block, which is the toughest grit that the Home Depot carried. So I scraped off a bunch of the residue that was still caked on, and then I used a couple things of, I think it's Duct Tape brand adhesive remover. Okay, so it's Duck brand adhesive remover with scraper. Let me just show you. Now this, you know, this is not official hashtag product placement. This is just me telling you what honestly has been working for me. So it's got like a little, it's almost like there's a cotton swab on the tip here. You flip it upside down. I'm sure for lighter stuff you can just press on it, but I had to give it a little squeeze to get lots of fluid to get flowing. I did 3 or 4 layers of this. You let this sit for a couple minutes, and then you can scrape it off with the top here. As you can see, I did so much scraping that the plastic is already coming up. Just imagine that half moon piece full of stuff. Literally the whole length here. I mean, there's barely any left. There's a little bit left, which if I was really persnickety, I'd clean up, but and I might do, but you know, I'm gonna wait for the rust converter to dry up first. That flathead I used to pull up the insulation initially. I had to like wedge it under there and pull it up, and I actually did a pretty good job. There's only a few scuff marks, and then of course a lot of the scuff marks came from the 36 grit sandpaper, because that will just tear your crap up. But my goal is after I get rid of all the rust spots here, I'm gonna sand down this well here, and then I'm going to put in I'm going to use the lacquer, the actual paint on rust lacquer, because I think that holds up a little bit better than the spray. There's been like a real turning point in this project for me, I think, because I usually hate cleaning cars. Like, I love working on cars, but I hate cleaning. But you know, I just was coming under here to degrease it, and then I saw the rust spots in that carpet, and something just flipped in me, and I just got right to it. I'm like, I gotta clean it up. It's just what I have to do. I have to do it right. So I like this car so much that I'm actually willing to clean it. So that should tell you some indication of how much it means to me. I would like to get it painted sooner rather than later. Obviously, I don't have the multi-thousands of dollars that costs to get a car painted, but you know, if I could get it done within the next year or two, that'd be nice, so it can stop looking like dog ass. Alright, so I'm waiting for some Bondo patches to dry up in the spare tire well, and I remembered that the owner had disconnected the horn because he said the contacts were stuck. You know, I've never taken apart a horn before. This is my first stab at it. It's actually pretty simple. I don't know if all horns work like this, or, you know, if new horns work like this, or if it's just Volkswagen horns. You have this piece of... No, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I doubt it's actually brass, but we'll just say it's brass, because that's, like, what the color is. And it's got this piece of foam on it. So this is the negative... This is a ground plate. So it's just the... this ground plate is resting on top of the foam, and the foam is covering up, you know, the little indentations in the bronze here, and on the other side they poke out. So when you press the horn, you're pressing, you can hear it click. Hold on. Right, so what you're doing is you're pressing the two plates together, and you're you know, you're completing the circuit. Because this is the positive side. This is obviously hooked into the positive side of the car, and then this part is this is the negative, and that's actually just grounded to an internal part in the steering wheel. So it is actually on bare metal. So then what happens is you press the two pieces together, the two types of metal make contact, that completes the circuit, and the horn sounds. So what happened was with this horn is that this particular area of the foam was worn down. It's, as you can see, I mean, it's down a little bit because it's been taped down, but also it was naturally about half as thick as this. So someone must have really been resting their hand on this corner a lot. So what I did is I just took some electrical tape and I covered up the little brass pins on this side. So now if the horn, when you put the horn back together, and you put it in the thing, it's not just going to be on all the time. It's actually shielded from the parts that it needs to be shielded from. You can see it's not going to touch any of the brass pieces by accident. It's got a decent amount of width in there. Yeah. Let's put it in the car just for funsies. See if the neighbors are going to kill me. All right, the horn module's back in its case. This is what it looks like when it's assembled together. There's the electric tape. So we're going to put this in the car, turn the ignition, and see if it's still stuck on. Key in, ignition off, horns wired in, back into its correct spaces. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Ignition's on, no horn. So we fixed the stuck horn contacts. It's amazing what 5 seconds and a bit of electrical tape will do ya. Alright, so now I've reinstalled the horn module into the actual rubber here because that further clamped down on it a little bit. So now we're going to see if it's still stuck now that it's put all the way back in. Now all I should have to do is shut the ignition off if it starts sounding. Here we go. Key in, going to turn it to position 2. Nope. There we go. There was just a quick little horn beep for you to prove that it works. And it's not stuck, which means now I can legally drive this car. And as you can see here, I've now painted the spare wheel well. You know, I didn't do a perfect job. As you can see, it's like a 17-agon. It's like 17 sides. But my painting skills are getting better. The coat's actually pretty even. You know, it's kind of hard to mask a circle with tape. I probably could have been super meticulous and, you know, made about 100 or 200 like little strips of tape, and then, you know, it might have come out pretty close to a circle, but I'm happy enough with that. My goal was to just add a layer of protection. Well, first of all, to cover the bare metal that I sanded down to, but just to add a layer of protection to where the spare wheel goes. Obviously, you won't really be able to tell on video, but it is a nice thick coating of this stuff. So, you know, even let's say hypothetical situation, someone that's not me is driving it for whatever reason, and they have to change the spare out. You know, they can drop something in here, and the metal will be protected. So yeah, that's that. You can see my Bondo work. Bondo work is getting better. I still really overdid it. As you can see, the lines and just like the ridges here were just too thick to sand down effectively. So I just kind of left them. I mean, they're going to be covered up by the spare wheel. You won't even see them. You know, and it's not like you're really in the spare wheel, well, all that much anyway. But yeah, there you go. You can see the lines. This was from when I had just attacked the rust spot that was here earlier. I just hit it up with a thin layer of the spray coat. And I ended up going with the spray coat stuff, spray on Rust-Oleum, because I did not get paint thinner the other day, which was my mistake. So my brush was all seized up, and so I had to throw that away. So yeah, that's what happens. That, kids, is an endorsement to always have the proper materials before you start a job. That way, when you want to do something, you know, you can do it.